I woke up with the worst headache of my life, in a bed that wasn't mine. Wearing a white silk nightgown I'd never seen before, with a massive diamond ring on my left hand, panic hit immediately. I sat up too fast, making the room spin, and tried to piece together last night. My best friend's bachelorette party in Vegas. Drinks. Lots of drinks. A club with a name I couldn't remember. Dancing. More drinks. And then nothing. Complete blackout. The ring caught the morning light emerald cut diamond. At least 4 carats, surrounded by smaller stones in an intricate platinum setting. This wasn't costume jewelry. This was the kind of ring that cost more than my annual salary as a high school teacher. The bedroom was equally intimidating. Massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking what appeared to be the Vegas Strip, furniture that screamed money, art on the walls that looked museum quality. This wasn't a hotel room. This was someone's home. Someone very wealthy. I stumbled out of bed, still wearing the nightgown, where were my clothes from last night, and tried the door. Unlocked. The hallway beyond was even more impressive. Marble floors, crystal chandelier, the kind of luxury that made me feel like I'd accidentally wandered into a movie set. Hello? My voice came out scratchy, throat dry from too much alcohol. Is anyone here? Good morning, Mrs. Russo. A woman appeared older, professionally dressed, with the air of a housekeeper. Mr. Russo asked me to ensure you had everything you needed when you woke up. How are you feeling? Mrs. Russo. No, there's been a mistake. I'm Zoe Mitchell. I don't know who Mrs. Russo is, but it's not me. The housekeeper's expression didn't change. Perhaps you should speak with Mr. Russo. He's been waiting for you to wake up. I'll let him know you're ready. Ready for what? I don't know any Mr. Russo. I need to find my friends, find my phone. Figure out what happened last night. Your phone is charging in the sitting room. Your friends have been notified that you're safe. And Mr. Russo will explain everything. She gestured down the hallway. Please follow me. I followed because I didn't know what else to do. My head was pounding, my memory was Swiss cheese. And I was apparently in a stranger's mansion being called Mrs. Russo. This had to be some elaborate mistake or prank. Maybe one of my friends had set this up as a joke? Though that seemed excessive even for Vegas. The sitting room was as luxurious as the rest of the house. And sitting by the window, reading a newspaper with morning coffee, was a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a Mafia movie. Dark hair, sharp features, expensive suit despite the early hour, and an air of controlled danger that made me stop in the doorway. He looked up, and his dark eyes assessed me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Zoe, good, you're awake. How's your head? How do you know my name? Who are you? Why am I here? I stayed near the door, ready to run if necessary. And why is your housekeeper calling me Mrs. Russo? Because that's your name now. At least legally. He set down his newspaper and stood tall, powerfully built, moving with the grace of someone comfortable with violence. I'm Luca Russo, and according to the state of Nevada, we got married last night. You don't remember? The room tilted. That's not funny. I didn't get married. I was at my friend's bachelorette party. We went to clubs, had drinks, but I would never. Let me show you something. He pulled out his phone, brought up a video, and turned the screen toward me. This is from the chapel. Last night. Around 2 a.m. The video showed me, definitely me, wearing a short white dress I didn't recognize, standing next to this man at what was clearly a Vegas wedding chapel. I was laughing, stumbling slightly, clinging to his arm. The officiant was saying something about marriage and commitment. And then video me was kissing him, enthusiastically, while someone cheered in the background. No, that's not, I wouldn't, but it was clearly me. Drunk, happy, completely unaware of what I was doing. You were very enthusiastic about the whole thing. Kept saying you'd always wanted a Vegas wedding, that this was romantic, that I was the most handsome man you'd ever met. He said it matter-of-factly, no humor in his tone. You also insisted on the expensive ring. Said if you were getting married in Vegas, you wanted a ring that proved it was real. I looked at the ring on my finger, the ring I'd apparently demanded while blackout drunk. This isn't real. I don't remember any of this. We can just get it annulled. It's not legal if I was too drunk to consent. Actually, Nevada law is quite permissive about drunk marriages. As long as you could stand and repeat the words, which you clearly could in the video, the marriage is legal and binding. He crossed his arms. But you're right that we could get it annulled. That's actually why I brought you here. We need to discuss terms. Terms? What terms? I just want to undo this mistake and go home. Not a mistake. At least, not entirely. His expression remained neutral. I needed to get married quickly for business reasons. A legitimate marriage to someone outside my world. You were drunk, willing, and perfect for my purposes. So I took advantage of the opportunity. The casual admission made my blood run cold. You're saying you deliberately married a drunk stranger for business reasons? That's not taking advantage of an opportunity. That's predatory. Call it what you want. The marriage is legal. And now I need you to stay married to me for the next 6 months. Publicly. Convincingly. In exchange, I'll compensate you generously and ensure the annulment happens smoothly once I no longer need the arrangement. You're insane. I'm not staying married to you. I don't even know you. You know my name. You know I'm wealthy. That's all you need to know for now. He pulled out a folder from his briefcase. This is the prenuptial agreement. I had my lawyers draw it up this morning while you were sleeping. It outlines the terms. You stay married to me for 6 months. Make public appearances as my wife. Convince anyone watching that we're a genuine couple. In return, you receive $25,000 a month. Full access to a credit card for expenses, and guaranteed annulment with no financial obligations on your part afterward. $25,000 a month. $150,000 for 6 months. More money than I made in 2 years of teaching. Why? Why do you need a fake wife? What kind of business requires a sham marriage? The kind that's none of your concern. Your job is to be my wife publicly, ask no questions about my business, and collect your compensation. Simple, straightforward, mutually beneficial. Except I don't benefit. I get dragged into whatever sketchy business you're involved in, risk my reputation, lie to everyone I know, and essentially become a prostitute being paid to pretend to be your wife. You're not prostituting yourself. We're not having sex. This is purely a business arrangement. He pushed the folder across the table. Read the contract. It's all spelled out clearly. No physical intimacy required or expected. Separate bedrooms. You're simply playing a role. I stared at the folder, then at him, then at the ring on my finger. And if I refuse? If I just walk out of here, go to the nearest courthouse and file for annulment myself? Then you'll spend the next several months dealing with lawyers, court dates, and my legal team making the process as difficult as possible. You'll also lose out on a significant amount of money that could change your life. Your choice. That's coercion. You're basically holding me hostage. I prefer to think of it as negotiation. You have something I need, legitimacy, a public face of normal marriage. I have something you need, money, and eventually, freedom from this situation. His dark eyes held mine. 6 months, Zoe. That's all I'm asking. Play the role, take the money, and then we go our separate ways. Is that really so terrible compared to the alternative? I wanted to say yes, it was terrible. That being forced into a fake marriage with a stranger was basically kidnapping. But the truth was more complicated. I was a teacher drowning in student loans, living paycheck to paycheck, watching my friends buy houses and start families while I scraped by. $150,000 would change everything, pay off my loans. Give me savings. Let me actually breathe financially. And what was the alternative? Fight this in court for months, spend money I didn't have on lawyers, and probably lose anyway since the marriage was technically legal? I need to think about this. Take your time. You have 24 hours to decide. He stood, clearly ending the conversation. Your clothes from last night are being cleaned. I've had appropriate attire brought in for you. They're in your room. Feel free to explore the house, Order any food you want. Just don't leave the property until you've made your decision. So I am a prisoner. You're a guest who needs time to think clearly. There's a difference. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Zoe, I'm not trying to ruin your life. I'm offering you an opportunity. Most people would kill for this kind of money for 6 months of pretending. Try to see it as the business arrangement it is, not a personal violation. After he left, I collapsed onto the sofa, staring at the ring on my finger. How had my life gone from teaching high school English to being the fake wife of a man who was clearly involved in something illegal? Because you don't need a sham marriage for legitimate business. You need it for covering up crimes, laundering money, gaining citizenship, all the things crime dramas taught me. My phone, which the housekeeper had mentioned, was indeed charging on a side table. 14 missed calls from my friends, 37 texts, all variations of "Where are you?" and "Are you okay?" And increasingly panicked, "Call me now." I called Emma, my best friend, the bachelorette party honoree. "Zoe! Oh my God, where the hell have you been? We've been losing our minds. You disappeared from the club last night and we couldn't find you anywhere." "I'm okay. This is going to sound insane, but I think I got married last night. To a stranger. While blackout drunk." Silence. Then, "What?" "There's a ring on my finger, a marriage certificate apparently, and a very intense man claiming we got married at 2 a.m. I don't remember any of it." "Zoe, that's not funny. I'm not joking." "I woke up in his mansion, Emma. It's a literal mansion, and he's saying we're legally married. And he wants me to stay married to him for 6 months for business reasons, and he'll pay me $150,000. More silence. Then, "Okay, I'm coming to get you." "Where are you?" "I don't actually know. Somewhere in Vegas, big house overlooking the strip. He says I can't leave until I decide if I'm taking his deal." "That's kidnapping." "Call the police." "And tell them what?" "That I got drunk married and now my legal husband won't let me leave his house until I sign a contract?" "I don't think that's actually illegal." "It should be." "Zoe, this is insane. You can't seriously be considering this." $150,000, Em. That's my student loans paid off. That's savings. That's financial security I've never had. It's also 6 months of lying to everyone, being married to a stranger, getting involved in God knows what kind of illegal business. You're a teacher. You can't risk your career on something like this." She was right. Of course she was right. This was insane, dangerous, potentially career-ending if anyone found out. But that ring on my finger was so beautiful. And the idea of being debt-free was so tempting. "I have 24 hours to decide. Can I call you back?" "Zoe, I know. I know it's crazy, just ... Let me think about it. I'll call you soon. I promise." I hung up before she could argue more, and spent the rest of the day exploring my temporary prison. The mansion was as impressive as I'd initially thought: 6 bedrooms, home theater, wine cellar, pool, gym. The kind of wealth I'd only seen in movies. And in one of the guest rooms, I found an entire wardrobe of women's clothes in my exact size. Designer labels, expensive fabrics, everything from casual wear to evening gowns. Luca had clearly prepared for this, had planned to trap some drunk woman into marriage and had the infrastructure ready. That should have terrified me. Instead, I found myself trying on a dress, looking at myself in the mirror, imagining what 6 months of living like this would feel like. That evening, Luca joined me for dinner, an elaborate meal prepared by a private chef, served in a dining room that could seat 20 but currently only held the 2 of us at opposite ends of a ridiculously long table. "This is absurd," I said, gesturing at the distance between us. "We're married, apparently. Can't we at least eat in the same zip code?" A slight smile crossed his face, the first real expression I'd seen from him. "Fair point." He moved to the seat across from me, close enough to have an actual conversation. "Have you made your decision?" "I have questions first. Starting with, what kind of business requires a fake wife? The kind that involves family expectations and traditional values." My family is old-fashioned. They expect certain milestones by certain ages. Marriage is one of them. Without a wife, I'm not taken seriously in family business discussions. So, this is about inheritance? Impressing your family? Something like that. He cut into his steak with precision. The specific details aren't relevant. What matters is that I need a wife for 6 months, you need money, and we can both get what we want out of this arrangement. You said legitimate business. But people with legitimate businesses don't generally need sham marriages. Are you a criminal? That's a loaded question with a complicated answer. He met my eyes. I operate in gray areas. Some of what I do is legal, some is questionable, some crosses lines. But Zoe, you're not involved in any of that. You're simply my wife in public. The business is separate. Can you promise I won't be implicated if something goes wrong? That I won't end up arrested or targeted because of your activities? I can promise that you'll be kept completely separate from operations. As far as anyone outside my inner circle knows, you're exactly what you appear to be, a schoolteacher who had a whirlwind romance with a businessman and got married impulsively in Vegas. That's the story. That's all anyone will ever know. What about my job? I have to be back at work in a week. Teaching in California, not Vegas. You'll quit. I'll compensate you for lost wages. Part of the agreement. He said it so casually, like my career was nothing. You can't maintain both lives, teacher by day, mob wife by night. It doesn't work. Mob wife? So you are. I didn't say that. But hypothetically, if I were involved in organized business, you couldn't exactly tell your principal you're married to me while also teaching high school. The background check alone would raise flags. My appetite vanished. You want me to quit my job? The career I spent 4 years in college and 2 years in credentialing for. Just give it up for 6 months of playing pretend? I want you to take a sabbatical. Tell them it's for personal reasons, which is true. You got married, need time to settle into your new life. After 6 months, you get divorced, cite irreconcilable differences, and return to teaching with $150,000 in the bank. Your career isn't ruined. It's just paused. Teachers don't get sabbaticals. I'd have to resign. And getting rehired isn't guaranteed. Then I'll increase the compensation. $200,000 for 6 months. Enough that even if you can't get your exact job back, you have time to find something else without financial pressure. He leaned forward. Zoe, I'm trying to be fair here. To make this worth your while. But I need you to understand, this marriage is happening whether you agree to the terms or not. The only question is whether you benefit financially from it or fight it expensively in court. That's not fairness. That's manipulation. Call it what you want. But make a decision. Tonight. I need to know if you're in or if we're doing this the hard way. I pushed my plate away, too agitated to eat. If I agree, and I'm not saying I am, what exactly does being your wife entail? You said no sex. Separate bedrooms. But what about public appearances? What am I expected to do? Attend events with me. Family dinners, business functions, occasional social gatherings. Act affectionate but not overtly sexual. Hold my hand. Let me put my arm around you. Smile when people ask about our whirlwind romance. Essentially, sell the story that we fell madly in love and couldn't wait to get married. And in private? In private, we're roommates. Polite, cordial, but maintaining distance. You have your space, I have mine. We coordinate our public story but otherwise live separate lives within the same house. For 6 months. For 6 months. Then divorce, settlement, and you never have to see me again. I stood, needing to pace. This is insane. Everything about this is insane. I don't even know you. I don't know what you're involved in, who your family is, what I'd be getting into. Then ask. Right now, before you decide. Ask me anything you want to know. I stopped pacing, turned to face him. Are you dangerous? Will I be in danger because of you? I'm very dangerous. But not to you. You'll be protected, secured, kept safe from anything related to my business. That's non-negotiable. Have you killed people? That's not a question you want answered. Yes, it is. If I'm going to be your fake wife, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Have you killed people? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, yes, in self-defense, in protection of my family, in situations where it was necessary. I'm not a serial killer. But I'm not a saint either. I do what needs to be done in my world. The admission should have sent me running. Instead, I found it oddly honest. At least he wasn't lying. Why me? You're clearly wealthy enough to find someone willing to do this. Why trap a drunk stranger into marriage? Because you were convenient, uncomplicated, and perfect for what I needed. Someone with no connections to my world, no knowledge of my business, no complications. A random drunk girl in Vegas who wanted a wedding was exactly what I was looking for. He stood, moving closer. And because you seemed genuine, even drunk, you were sweet, funny, enthusiastic. Those qualities are useful for selling a love story. So you took advantage of a drunk woman and now you're trying to make it sound romantic. I took advantage of an opportunity. I'm not claiming it's romantic. Just practical. He was close enough now that I could smell his cologne, expensive, subtle. Zoe, I need an answer. Are you doing this, or am I calling my lawyers? I looked at him, this dangerous, complicated man who trapped me in an impossible situation. Then I looked at the ring on my finger. Thought about my student loans, my struggling bank account. My friends who were all moving forward in life while I was stuck. 250,000, I heard myself say. That's my price. 250,000 for 6 months. And I want it in writing that after the divorce, you'll provide a reference for any job I apply to. Say I was your personal assistant or something. So the gap in my resume doesn't look like unemployment. 250,000 is steep. You're asking me to quit my career, lie to everyone I know, and marry a man who just admitted to killing people. I think that's worth 250,000. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. Deal, I'll have the contract amended tonight. You'll sign tomorrow morning, and then we begin the performance. Just like that? I agree to an insane arrangement, and we just move forward. Just like that. Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Russo. The next morning, I signed the contract with shaking hands. 23 pages of legal jargon that basically said, I was selling 6 months of my life to a stranger for $250,000. When it was done, Luca's lawyer, a stern woman named Patricia, who looked like she'd seen everything, witnessed the signature and packed up the documents. Congratulations on your marriage, Patricia said dryly. I've prepared the statement you'll give if anyone asks about the quick wedding. Review it, memorize it. The story needs to be consistent. The story was surprisingly detailed. We'd met 2 months ago at a charity event in Los Angeles. He'd been immediately taken with me, pursued me despite my initial hesitation, swept me off my feet with his charm and romantic gestures. The Vegas wedding was impulsive, yes, but felt right because we were so deeply in love. We were planning a bigger celebration for family and friends once we settled into married life. This is a novel, not a cover story, I said, reading through the pages. Do people actually believe stuff like this? They believe what they want to believe. Most people want to believe in whirlwind romance. They'll accept this story because it's appealing. Patricia closed her briefcase. Your job is to sell it convincingly. Can you do that? I'm a teacher. I act enthusiastic about semicolons and Shakespeare to teenagers who'd rather be on TikTok. I can fake enthusiasm for a fake marriage. Good. Because the first test is tonight. Luca's brother is having a family dinner. You'll be introduced as the new wife. These people are not stupid. They'll be looking for cracks in your story. Don't give them any. After Patricia left, I found Luca in his office, a room I hadn't been allowed to enter until now. It was exactly what I'd expected. Dark wood, leather furniture, multiple computer screens, and an air of serious business being conducted. Your family doesn't know, do they? About the arrangement? I asked from the doorway. They know I got married. They don't know the circumstances or the terms. As far as they're concerned, you're exactly what the story says, a woman I fell in love with and married impulsively. What if they don't believe it? What if they think I'm some gold digger or con artist? Then I'll defend you. Convince them otherwise. That's part of the arrangement. I make this believable to my family and business associates. You just have to show up and play along. What are they like? What like? Your family? He leaned back in his chair, considering. My brother Marco is suspicious of everything and everyone. He'll interrogate you, try to find inconsistencies. My sister Gianna is romantic. She want details about our love story, will probably cry at how beautiful it is. My mother is traditional Italian. She judge you on your cooking, your dress, your ability to fit into our family. And my father, he paused. My father is the reason I needed to get married. He doesn't approve of bachelors in leadership positions. Thinks they're unstable, irresponsible. I needed a wife to satisfy his requirements for taking over certain business operations. So this is about a promotion. A criminal promotion. I prefer to think of it as a leadership transition. But yes, essentially. He stood, moving to a closet in his office and pulling out a garment bag. I had this made for you. For tonight. My mother is old-fashioned about these things. Wives should dress appropriately. Represent the family well. Inside the garment bag was a dress that was somehow both modest and stunning deep green silk. Elegant cut, the kind of thing that said money without screaming it. And with it, jewelry, real jewelry, not costume pieces. Emerald earrings and necklace that probably cost more than my car. I'm supposed to wear someone else's fortune around my neck? You're supposed to wear your husband's gift to his wife. That's how my family sees it. Rejecting the jewelry would be insulting. This is insane. All of this. I should have run yesterday. But you didn't. You took the deal. Now you have to live with it. He moved closer, adjusting the necklace in its box. Zoe, I need you to understand something. Tonight, my family will be watching everything. How we interact, how comfortable you seem, whether the marriage looks genuine. If they suspect this is fake, it ruins everything. So for tonight, you need to forget that this is an arrangement. You need to actually be my wife. Can you do that? I can try. Try isn't good enough. You need to succeed. His dark eyes held mine. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. My family isn't like regular families. They're complicated, dangerous, and extremely perceptive. Failing to convince them isn't just embarrassing. It's potentially dangerous for both of us. What happens if they don't believe me? If I mess up the story? Then we deal with consequences I'd rather not detail. Just ... Don't mess up. Stick to the script. Follow my lead, and we'll get through this. That evening, getting ready in my designated bedroom, which was almost as large as my entire apartment back home, I practiced the story in the mirror. We met at a charity event. He pursued me. We fell in love. Vegas wedding was impulsive but right. I'm so happy. He's amazing. This is real. The lies felt clumsy in my mouth. But the dress fit perfectly. The jewelry sparkled beautifully. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, I saw someone who could plausibly be a mob wife. Polished, elegant, expensive. You look beautiful. Luca's voice from the doorway made me jump. He'd changed into a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary, charcoal gray. Perfectly tailored, making him look every inch the dangerous businessman he was. Thank you. You look ... intimidating. Good, that's the goal. He crossed the room, pulling out a small box. One more thing. For tonight. Inside was a wedding band, simple platinum, elegant, clearly meant to match my engagement ring. We didn't exchange rings at the chapel? I asked as he slid it onto my finger. You were too drunk to notice we skipped that part. I'm correcting the oversight now. His hands were warm, touch surprisingly gentle. There. Now you look properly married. I feel like I'm wearing a costume. Playing dress up in someone else's life. That's exactly what you're doing. Just remember, for the next 6 months, this isn't a costume. This is your life. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. The drive to his parents' house was silent, tension building with each mile. When we pulled up to an estate that made Luca's mansion look modest, my anxiety spiked. This is where your parents live? This is where my father conducts business. They have a smaller house for actual living. This is for entertaining, meetings, family gatherings. He helped me out of the car, his hand warm on my lower back, a gesture that looked affectionate but felt controlling. Remember the story. Follow my lead. Don't offer information they don't ask for. And, Zoe? Smile. You're supposed to be in love with me. I pasted on a smile as we approached the front door. How's this? Terrifying. Try softer, more genuine. Think about something that makes you happy. I thought about the $250,000 I was earning. The smile came more naturally. Better. Keep that. The door opened. And suddenly we were surrounded by Russos. Luca's mother descended on us immediately, a small but formidable woman with sharp eyes. And an embrace that felt more like an evaluation than a greeting. So, this is the girl who stole my son's heart so quickly we didn't even get to meet her before the wedding, she said in accented English, pulling back to study my face. Luca showed us pictures, but you're even prettier in person. I'm Carmela. And you must call me Mama. We're family now. Thank you, Mama. It's wonderful to meet you. The word felt strange on my tongue, calling the stranger Mama, but she smiled approvingly. Come inside. Everyone is waiting to meet you. She linked her arm through mine, separating me from Luca with practiced efficiency. You must tell me everything. How did you meet? When did you know he was the one? Was the wedding beautiful? Luca's sister Gianna intercepted us in the foyer, younger than Luca, maybe late 20s, with his same dark features but warmer expression. Mama, don't interrogate her the moment she walks in. Let her breathe. She hugged me warmly. I'm Gianna. Welcome to the family. Though I have to say, I'm hurt my big brother got married without inviting his favorite sister. It was very impulsive, I said, sticking to the script. We were in Vegas for my best friend's bachelorette party, and Luca surprised me by flying in to join me. One thing led to another, and we just couldn't wait. It felt right. How romantic. Gianna clutched her chest dramatically. Mama, see? True love doesn't wait for proper planning and guest lists. It just happens. True love should still involve family, Carmela said firmly. But she was smiling. But what's done is done. Come, meet everyone else. The dining room was already full, at least 15 people, all of them turning to stare as we entered. Luca appeared at my side immediately, his hand finding mine. Fingers intertwining in a gesture that looked natural but felt strategic. Everyone. This is Zoe, my wife. His voice carried authority, daring anyone to question or challenge. Zoe, this is everyone. The introductions blurred together, brothers, cousins, uncles, business associates. All of them studying me with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, and assessment. I smiled until my face hurt, repeated the cover story so many times it started to feel almost true. And let Luca guide me through the social minefield. His brother Marco was exactly as described, suspicious. Calculating, asking questions designed to trip me up. So, you're a teacher, he said during cocktails, his tone making it sound like an accusation. High school English. That's quite different from our family's business interests. How did you even end up at a charity event where Luca was present? Those aren't usually attended by public school teachers. My friend Emma works in event planning. She had an extra ticket, invited me along. The lie came smoothly, we practiced the specific question. I almost didn't go. But Emma convinced me, said I needed to get out more. And she was right, that night changed my life. Convenient. My brother attends one charity events, something he rarely does, and happens to meet the woman he'll marry 2 months later. Marco's skepticism was palpable. Quite the coincidence. Some people call it fate, Luca interjected smoothly, his arm sliding around my waist, pulling me closer. I call it the best decision I never planned to make. Zoe walked into that event and I couldn't take my eyes off her. Sometimes you just know. You've never been the sometimes you just know type, Marco countered. You're calculated, strategic. This whole whirlwind romance feels out of character. Maybe I was tired of being calculated. Maybe I wanted something spontaneous for once in my life. Luca's voice had an edge now. Is that so hard to believe, Marco? That I could fall in love like a normal person? Yes, actually. It is. The tension was broken by Luca's father entering the room. Man in his 70s who commanded attention without saying a word. Everyone went quiet, even Marco. The patriarch had arrived. So this is the girl? He said in heavily accented English, approaching us with slow, deliberate steps. The one who convinced my son to finally settle down. Let me look at you. He circled me like I was livestock being evaluated for purchase. I held my ground, kept my smile in place, and tried not to show how intimidated I was. You're young, he said finally. Younger than I expected. What are you, 25? 27, sir. Sir, I like that. Respectful. He turned to Luca. She's pretty. Seems smart. But can she handle this family? Can she handle you? She can handle me just fine, Papa. Better than fine, actually. She keeps me grounded, reminds me there's more to life than business. Luca's hand on my waist tightened slightly, a signal I'd learned meant play along. She's exactly what I needed. What we need is to know if she understands what she married into, the patriarch said bluntly. This isn't a normal family, girl. We have expectations, traditions, ways of doing things. Can you adapt? Can you fit in? Or are you going to cause problems? This wasn't in the script. Luca had warned me his father was traditional, but not that he'd be this direct, this challenging. I felt everyone watching, waiting to see how I'd respond. I'm a quick learner, sir. And I love your son. That means I'll do whatever it takes to be part of this family, to support him, to fit in. I met the old man's eyes directly. I know I'm not what you expected. I know this marriage was fast and unconventional. But I'm committed. To Luca, to this family, to making this work. That's all I can promise. The patriarch studied me for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. She's got spine. I like that. Too many women these days are weak, afraid. You look afraid, but you're standing your ground anyway. That's good. He clapped Luca on the shoulder. You did well, son. Keep her. As he walked away, I felt Luca's entire body relax slightly. You just passed the hardest test, he murmured in my ear. My father's approval is almost impossible to get. You impressed him. I was terrified. I know. He knew too. But you didn't back down. That's what he respects. Dinner was an elaborate affair, course after course of Italian food, wine flowing freely. Conversation mixing English and Italian in ways that sometimes left me lost. But Luca stayed close, translating when necessary, steering conversation away from dangerous topics. Playing the attentive new husband so convincingly I almost believed it myself. You two are sweet together, Gianna observed during dessert. The way he looks at you, Zoe. I've never seen my brother look at anyone like that. Because he's acting, I wanted to say. This is all performance. But I just smiled and squeezed Luca's hand. I'm a lucky woman. We're both lucky, Luca corrected, bringing my hand to his lips and kissing it gently. The gesture was pure performance. But it made several women at the tableside dot after dinner. Carmela cornered me in the powder room. I need to tell you something, woman to woman. My son is complicated, difficult. His business is dangerous, though we don't speak of it directly. You're young, sweet, probably unprepared for what this life really means. I know it won't be easy. You don't know anything yet. But you will learn. She touched my cheek gently. I see how you look at him. Maybe you love him. Maybe you're still figuring it out. But Zoe, if you're going to be part of this family, you need to be strong. The women in our world, we have to be stronger than the men. We have to protect them from themselves, raise children in chaos, and smile through it all. Can you do that? I can try. Try isn't good enough. You need to commit completely. Or you need to leave now before it's too late. Before you're in too deep. Her eyes were kind but unflinching. I like you. I don't want to see you destroyed by this world. So decide now, are you all in or are you running? The irony of her words, not knowing this was already an arrangement with an expiration date, made me want to laugh and cry simultaneously. I'm all in. I chose Luca knowing his life was complicated. I'm not running. Good. Then we'll teach you what you need to know. How to be a Russo wife. How to survive this family. She hugged me tightly. Welcome, daughter. You're one of us now. The drive home was quiet, both of us exhausted from the performance. When we finally got back to the mansion, I kicked off the expensive heels and collapsed on the sofa in the sitting room. That was the most stressful dinner of my life, I said. And I once had dinner with my ex-boyfriend's parents who spent 2 hours explaining why I wasn't good enough for their son. Luca loosened his tie, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, and handed me one. You did well. Better than well. You convinced them. Even Marco seemed to believe it by the end. Your mother cornered me in the bathroom. Told me I need to be strong, that this family will destroy me if I'm not careful. It was very ominous and very sweet simultaneously. That's my mother. Brutally honest, wrapped in maternal concern. He sat beside me, close but not touching. She likes you. That's important. If she'd hated you, the next 6 months would have been hell. So now what? I've met the family, passed the tests. What happens next? Now we settle into the routine. You'll attend more family functions, some business events. We'll be seen together publicly, sell the story to everyone outside the family. And in between, you'll live here, do whatever you want with your time, and collect your payments. Sounds boring. 6 months of playing dress-up and attending dinners. You could take up a hobby. Learn Italian. Read all those books you've been meaning to read. This is essentially a paid vacation with occasional performance requirements. He swirled his whiskey. Most people would consider that a good deal. Most people aren't living a complete lie to people who could probably kill them if they found out the truth. No one's killing you. Zoe, stop being dramatic. Your father literally said I need to understand what I married into. Your mother warned me this world destroys people. Your brother thinks I'm a con artist. Forgive me for being a little dramatic about my safety. Fair point. He finished his whiskey. But for what it's worth, you're under my protection now. That means something in my world. No one touches you. No one threatens you. You're safer now than you've ever been. Because I'm your fake wife. Because you're my wife, fake or not. The label provides protection regardless of authenticity. He stood, offered me his hand. Come on. I want to show you something. He led me to a part of the house I hadn't explored. A library that was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling books, leather furniture. The kind of space that invited hours of reading. I had this put together for you, Luca said, gesturing to a section of newer-looking books. You mentioned you're an English teacher. I figured you'd appreciate good literature. And this, he opened a laptop on the desk, is yours. For personal use. Email your friends, stay in touch with family, do whatever you want. Just don't mention anything about our arrangement or my business. The thoughtfulness surprised me. You didn't have to do this. I need you to be comfortable here. Comfortable people are convincing people. If you're miserable, it shows. If you're content, it sells the story better. He moved to the door. Use this space however you want. It's yours now. Along with everything else in this house. After he left, I sat in the library, surrounded by books, and tried to process my new reality. A week ago, I was a teacher living paycheck to paycheck in a cramped apartment. Now I was a mob wife living in a mansion, wearing jewelry worth more than my car, playing a role in someone else's complicated life. And I had 5 months and 3 weeks left to play it. Over the next few weeks, I settled into a routine that was surreal in its normalcy. Mornings I spent in the library, reading or emailing my friends carefully edited versions of my new life. Afternoons I'd swim or work out in the gym or explore the neighborhood with Marco, one of Luca's security team who'd been assigned to watch me whenever Luca was working. Am I a prisoner or a wife? I asked Marco one afternoon when he insisted on accompanying me to a coffee shop 3 blocks away. You're protected. Boss's orders. Anywhere you go, I go. He was about 30, built like a tank, and surprisingly good company despite his intimidating appearance. What if I wanted to go shopping? See a movie? Have lunch with a friend? Then I'd come with you. Discreetly. You wouldn't even know I was there most of the time. That's creepy. That's protection. This isn't a normal marriage, but the threats are real. People knowing you're Luca's wife makes you valuable. Kidnapping, blackmail, worse, these are real risks. Boss isn't being paranoid. He's being smart. It was a reminder that this world, Luca's world, came with dangers I couldn't fully comprehend. The expensive clothes and mansion were one thing. The need for constant security was another. Luca himself was surprisingly considerate. We maintained separate bedrooms, ate breakfast together most mornings, and he'd check in throughout the day, via text. In public at the family dinners that happened weekly, at business functions I was required to attend, he played the devoted husband perfectly. Affectionate without being possessive, attentive without being smothering. It was all performance, but it was good performance. You're getting better at this, he commented one evening after we'd attended a charity gala. You barely hesitated when that woman asked about our honeymoon plans. Your answer was immediate and convincing. I'm an English teacher. I tell stories about dead authors to teenagers who don't care. This is just a different kind of storytelling. Is that all this is to you? A story? What else would it be? You paid me to play a role. I'm playing it. That's the arrangement. I slipped off the elegant heels I'd been wearing all evening. Why? Did you expect me to actually fall for you? Develop real feelings because you're so charming and generous? No, but I expected some level of ... connection. We're living together, spending significant time together. Most people would at least develop a friendship. Most people aren't paying each other for fake marriages. I stood, suddenly tired of the conversation. Good night, Luca. Thank you for a lovely evening of lies and performance. I left him standing in the foyer, something like hurt or disappointment crossing his face. But that was his problem, not mine. I was here for 6 months and $250,000. Not friendship. Not connection. Definitely not feelings. 3 months into the arrangement, something shifted. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when it happened, but I started noticing things about Luca I'd missed before. The way he always made sure my coffee was perfect in the morning. How he'd text me during the day just to check in, no business reason, just asking how I was. The small gifts that would appear in my room books he thought I'd like, flowers because he'd noticed I'd admired them at a shop. You're being weird, I told him one morning over breakfast. Attentive. More than the arrangement requires. Am I not allowed to be considerate to the person living in my house? You're allowed. It's just ... different. We're supposed to be business partners, not actual friends. Can't we be both? He set down his newspaper, giving me his full attention. Zoe, we have 3 more months together. Seems wasteful to spend them maintaining this cold distance. Why not make it pleasant? Because pleasant leads to complicated. Complicated makes the ending harder. Or maybe pleasant just makes the present more bearable. He reached across the table, his hand covering mine. I'm not asking you to fall in love with me. Just to stop treating me like I'm only a paycheck. His hand was warm, strong, and I realized I'd stopped pulling away from his casual touches. Somewhere in the past 3 months, I'd gotten used to him. Comfortable, maybe even started to like him. Fine. We can be friends. But just friends. When this is over in 3 months, we go our separate ways as planned. As planned, he agreed. But something in his expression suggested he wasn't entirely convinced that's how this would end. The friendship, if that's what it was, made the next few weeks easier. We'd watch movies together in the evening, debate books we both read, cook dinner together on nights when the chef was off. It felt dangerously close to real relationship, which should have terrified me but instead felt ... Nice. Tell me about before, I said one evening. We were in the library, both reading but not really reading, just existing comfortably in the same space. Before all this, what was your life like? Busy, lonely, focused entirely on business and family obligations. He closed his book. I was being groomed to take over operations from my father. That meant learning everything about the business, legal and illegal. It meant sacrificing personal wants for family needs. Romance wasn't part of the plan. Relationships were distractions. So you've never been in love? I thought I was once. College girlfriend, before I was fully immersed in family business. But she couldn't handle what my life became. Left before things got too serious. He studied me carefully. What about you? Ever been in love? Once. He was another teacher. We dated for 2 years, talked about marriage, the whole future planned out. Then he got offered a job in New York, and I was going to stay in California. We tried long distance for about 3 months before he admitted he'd met someone else. The memory stung less than it used to. I thought I'd never trust anyone again after that. And here I am in a fake marriage with a criminal. Life is funny. I'm not just a criminal. No, you're also a really good cook and you have excellent taste in books. Multifaceted criminal. He threw a pillow at me, and I threw it back, and suddenly we were laughing like actual friends instead of business partners. It was the most genuine moment we'd shared since this whole thing started. The shift didn't go unnoticed by Luca's family. At the next family dinner, Gianna pulled me aside with a knowing smile. So, you and my brother, you're actually falling for each other, aren't you? What? No, we get along. That's all. Zoe, I've known Luca my entire life. I've never seen him look at someone the way he looks at you. And you light up when he enters a room. That's not just getting along. That's something more. You're imagining things. This marriage is still new. We're still figuring each other out. Keep telling yourself that. But I know what I see. She hugged me. And I'm happy about it. You're good for him. You make him more human, less robot businessman. The conversation bothered me more than it should have. Because she was right, I did light up when Luca entered a room. I did look forward to our evenings together, our conversations, the easy comfort we developed. And that was dangerous. Because in 2.5 months this ended. He'd pay me, we'd divorce, and I'd go back to my real life. Getting attached was not part of the plan. I tried to pull back, re-establish distance. But Luca seemed determined to do the opposite. He started coming home earlier, spending more time with me, initiating conversations about everything from politics to favorite movies. It felt like he was actively pursuing me, which made no sense given our arrangement. Why are you doing this? I finally asked one evening. The attention, the time together, acting like we're actually in a relationship. Our contract doesn't require this level of commitment. Maybe I'm tired of pretending we're just business partners when we're clearly more than that now. He set down his wine glass. Zoe, somewhere in the past 3 months you became my friend. Possibly my best friend. The person I want to talk to about my day, share meals with, just exist around. That's not part of any contract. That's just what happened. Friendship has an expiration date. 2.5 months from now, we're done. Unless we decide we're not. The suggestion hung in the air between us. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we don't get divorced. Maybe we make this real. Continue what we've started. You paid me to marry you. That's not a foundation for a real relationship. No. But the 3 months we've spent actually getting to know each other could be. Zoe, I didn't expect this. Didn't plan for it. But I've developed feelings for you. Real feelings. And I think maybe you have too. He was right. That was the terrifying part. Somewhere between the fake smiles and performed affection, I'd started actually caring about him. Looking forward to seeing him. Missing him when he was gone too long. All the signs of feelings I hadn't authorized myself to have. This is a terrible idea, I said. We're terrible together. I'm a teacher. You're a criminal. I believe in rules and laws. You break them professionally. We make no sense. We make perfect sense. Opposites attract, balance each other out, make each other better. You've made me better, Zoe. Made me question things I never questioned before. Made me want to be more than just my father's successor. Luca, just think about it. That's all I'm asking. Think about whether ending this is really what you want. Or if maybe, just maybe, we've stumbled into something worth keeping. He left me alone with that impossible suggestion. And I spent the next several days wrestling with feelings I'd tried so hard not to develop. The problem was complicated by the fact that his world kept intruding into our bubble. There were nights he came home late, blood on his shirt, darkness in his eyes that suggested he'd done things I didn't want to know about. Those nights reminded me what he really was, not my friend. Not my maybe boyfriend, but a criminal involved in operations I couldn't support. Where were you tonight? I asked one of those nights, finding him in his study at 2 a.m., whiskey in hand, looking haunted. Handling business. Nothing you need to worry about. That's not an answer. And the blood on your sleeve suggests it was violent business. He looked down at his shirt like he hadn't noticed. A negotiation went wrong. I had to remind someone why they shouldn't cross me. It's handled now. You hurt someone. I did what was necessary to protect my family's interests. That's my job, Zoe. That's what I do. And I'm supposed to just accept that. Love someone who hurts people. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm asking you to understand me. This is my world. I can't change that. But I can try to keep it separate from you, from us. There's an arrangement that's expiring in 2 months. That's all. I left him there, angry and confused and hating that my feelings were real while his life remained impossible. The next morning, everything changed. I woke up to find Luca already dressed, packed bags by the door, his expression serious. We need to leave. Now. No questions, just trust me. What's happening? Someone from a rival family knows about you. About us. They're planning to use you to get to me. It's not safe here anymore. Fear spiked through me. What does that mean? Use me how? Kidnapping, most likely. They think you're my actual wife. That I love you. They're not wrong about the second part, and they don't need to be right about the first part to make you a target. He grabbed my arm, urgency in his voice. We have a safe house about 3 hours from here. We'll stay there until this threat is neutralized. But we need to leave now. Luca, I'm not going anywhere until you explain what's happening. Who's threatening me? Why now? Because I made a business decision that upset some dangerous people. They can't attack me directly without starting a war. But you? You're vulnerable. Hurting you hurts me. That's leverage they plan to use. So this is my fault for being married to you. This is the reality of my world. I tried to keep you separate from it, tried to protect you. But my enemies don't care about separation. They care about weakness. And you've become mine. The admission that I was his weakness should have felt romantic. Instead, it felt terrifying. I grabbed my phone, threw some clothes in a bag, and followed him to the car where Marco was already waiting. The safe house was actually a cabin in the mountains, isolated. Well secured and completely cut off from the world I knew. For 3 days, we were trapped there together while Luca coordinated with his people to handle the threat. This is what our life would be like, I said on the second day. We were sitting on the porch, surrounded by forest, armed guards patrolling the perimeter. If we stayed together, running from threats, hiding, constantly looking over our shoulders. That's not a life. That's survival. It's temporary. Once this situation is handled, we go back to normal. Your normal is still abnormal. Even on quiet days, you're involved in illegal operations. People get hurt. Laws get broken. I can't build a life on that foundation. Then, what do you want? You want me to walk away from my family? Abandon my responsibilities? Become someone else entirely? I want you to be someone who doesn't make me choose between loving you and respecting myself. The words hung between us honest. Painful, impossible to take back. I can't be that person, Luca said finally. This is who I am. What I am. I've tried to be better for you, tried to separate you from the worst of it, but I can't change my fundamental nature. This life, this business, it's not something I can just walk away from. I know. That's why this has to end. On the fourth day, Luca's people eliminated the threat, killed the men who'd been planning to take me, sent a message to the rival family that attempting it again would mean war. We returned to the mansion, but everything felt different now. The comfortable friendship we built was tainted by reality, his reality, which I couldn't accept. 2 months left, I said that evening. Let's just get through them professionally. No more pretending this could be something real. Is that really what you want? To throw away what we've built? We haven't built anything real. We've built a fantasy in a bubble that was always going to pop. Now it has. We move forward with the original plan: divorce, payment, separate lives. He looked like I'd physically struck him. Fine, if that's what you want. We'll maintain the public performance for appearances. But privately, we're done. Business partners until the contract expires. Business partners, I agreed, even though it felt like tearing out my own heart. The next 2 months were torture. We performed perfectly in public, affectionate, happy, the picture of newlywed bliss. But at home we were strangers. Polite, distant, carefully avoiding real conversation or connection. His family noticed. Are you two fighting? Gianna asked during one family dinner. You seem off. We're fine. Just adjusting to married life. It's not always easy. The lie felt hollow, but she seemed to accept it. The final week of our arrangement, Luca called me to his study. The contract expires in 3 days. I have your final payment ready. But before we proceed with the divorce, I need to ask one more time, are you sure this is what you want? I'm sure. This arrangement was always temporary. It's time to end it, even though you have feelings for me. Especially because I have feelings for you. Staying would mean accepting your world, your choices, your life. I can't do that. He nodded slowly, pulling out an envelope. Then this is goodbye. 150,000 in payments plus the final 100,000. Everything is contracted. He slid divorce papers across the desk. Sign these. I'll file them tomorrow. By next week you'll be free. I signed with shaking hands. Thank you. For keeping your word. For treating me well despite the circumstances. For making this bearable. Thank you for 3 months of feeling less alone. Even if it wasn't real. It was real. That's the problem. It was too real. I left his study, went to my room, and started packing. Tomorrow I'd leave this mansion, this life, this impossible man. I'd take my money, return to California, rebuild my teaching career, and forget any of this happened. Except I knew I'd never forget. Not the money or the mansion or the performance, but him. The man behind the criminal. The person I'd almost loved. I didn't leave the next morning, or the morning after that. Because the night before I was supposed to walk away, everything fell apart. I was packing the last of my things when I heard shouting downstairs. Luca's voice. Angry and urgent, speaking rapid Italian. Then gunshots. Actual gunshots inside the house. I froze, heart pounding, trying to decide between hiding and running. Before I could choose, my bedroom door burst open. Marco, bleeding from a shoulder wound, grabbed my arm. We need to go, now. They're inside. Who's inside? What's happening? The Castellano family. They're making a move. Trying to take out boss while his defenses are down. You need to come with me. He pulled me toward the door, but more gunfire echoed from the hallway. We can't go that way. Window. Fire escape. Move. We crashed through the window onto the fire escape, glass shattering around us. Marco was bleeding heavily but kept moving, pushing me ahead of him down the metal stairs. Behind us, I could hear men shouting. More gunfire, chaos. Where's Luca? Is he okay? Boss is handling it. My job is getting you out. That's what he'd want. We hit the ground running, Marco pushing me toward a car parked in the alley. He shoved me in the passenger seat. got behind the wheel despite his injury, and peeled out just as men appeared in the alley behind us. Marco, you're bleeding badly. We need to get you to a hospital. Can't. They'll track us there. I know a place. Just need to stay conscious long enough to get us there. He barely made it. We arrived at what looked like an abandoned warehouse, and Marco managed to get us inside before collapsing. I used my phone to call Luca. It rang and rang before going to voicemail. Luca, I don't know if you're okay, but Marco got me out. We're at some warehouse. He's hurt badly, and I don't know what to do. Please, if you get this, call me back. I tried to stop Marco's bleeding with torn fabric from my shirt, but I had no medical training. He was pale, breathing shallow, clearly going into shock. Stay with me, Marco. Don't you dare die. Luca needs you. I need you. Tell boss. I did my job. Got you out. You can tell him yourself when he gets here. Stay awake, damn it. He didn't. His eyes closed, and his breathing became irregular. I was alone in an abandoned warehouse with an unconscious security guard. No idea if Luca was alive. And no way to know if we were safe or if the Castellano family was still hunting us. I called 911. Gave them the address. Stayed on the line until I heard sirens. Let them arrest me if they had to. Marco needed medical attention more than I needed to avoid questions. The paramedics arrived first, followed quickly by police. They took Marco on a stretcher while officers separated me, asking questions I barely understood through my shock. Ma'am, can you tell us what happened? Who shot this man? I don't know. We were attacked. He was protecting me. That's all I know. Attacked where? Who are you? What's your relationship to the victim? My name is Zoe Mitchell. Russo. Zoe Russo. He works for my husband. We were attacked at my home. The officers exchanged looks. Russo? As in Luca Russo. Yes. Please, I need to know if my husband is okay. Yes. Please, I need to know if my husband is okay. There was an attack, gunfire. I don't know what happened after Marco got me out. Ma'am, we're going to need you to come to the station. Answer some questions about your husband's activities and this attack. They put me in the back of a police car. And I realized with sick certainty that my life was about to get infinitely more complicated. At the police station. They put me in an interrogation room and left me alone for what felt like hours. When someone finally entered, it wasn't a regular detective, it was an FBI agent. A woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and an expression that said she'd heard every lie. Mrs. Russo, I'm Agent Sarah Chen. I've been investigating your husband's operations for the past 2 years. And you're going to help me build a case against him. I don't know anything about his operations. I'm just his wife. You're his wife who was present during an attack by a rival crime family. You're his wife who's been living in his house for 6 months, attending family functions, being part of his world. You know things, Mrs. Russo, and you're going to tell me everything. I want a lawyer. Smart, you'll need one. Because right now, you're facing potential charges as an accessory to organized crime, money laundering, and conspiracy. Unless you cooperate. Then maybe we can make a deal. They left me alone again, and I tried calling Luca's phone repeatedly. It went straight to voicemail every time. Was he dead? Arrested? Hiding? I had no way to know. Finally, after what must have been 6 hours, a lawyer appeared. Not one I'd hired, one Luca had apparently sent. Patricia, the same stern woman who'd witnessed our contract signing. Don't say anything else to anyone, she instructed immediately. Not without me present. The FBI has nothing on you. You've been married 6 months. You're not involved in business operations. You have no knowledge of illegal activities. They're fishing. But the attack, Marco got shot protecting me. I don't even know if Luca's alive. Mr. Russo is fine. He dealt with the attack, eliminated the threat, and is currently handling cleanup. He sent me to get you released and ensure you don't say anything that could be used against either of you. So he's okay? He's alive? He's fine. Concerned about you, but fine. Now let's get you out of here. It took another 4 hours of legal maneuvering, But Patricia got me released without charges. I walked out of the police station at 3 a.m. to find Luca waiting by a car, looking exhausted and furious and relieved all at once. "You're okay," he said, pulling me into his arms before I could even process seeing him. "When Marco called to say he'd gotten you out but was hit, I thought..." He didn't finish the sentence, just held me tighter. "I thought you were dead. I called and you didn't answer. I was dealing with the Castellanos, making sure they understood that attacking my home, attacking you, meant war. It's handled now. They won't try again." "Handled how?" "Luca, what did you do?" "What I had to do to keep you safe. Don't ask for details you don't want answers to." In the car ride back to the mansion, which was being cleaned and repaired, evidence of the attack being systematically erased, Luca held my hand tightly, like he was afraid I'd disappear. "The divorce papers," he said finally. "I'm not filing them." "What?" "We agreed. I don't care what we agreed. Tonight I almost lost you. Spent hours not knowing if you were safe, if you'd been taken, if I'd ever see you again. That clarified things for me. I'm not letting you go, Zoe. Not now. Not ever. You don't get to make that decision unilaterally. This was an arrangement with an expiration date. This stopped being an arrangement months ago. We both know it. You can lie to yourself about your feelings, but you can't lie to me. I saw your face when you thought I was dead. That's not business partner concern. That's love. That's love. Love isn't enough. Your world almost got me killed tonight. Your world got Marco shot. Your world had me sitting in FBI interrogation for 6 hours being threatened with conspiracy charges. That's not a life I can live. Then I'll change my life. Scale back operations. Distance myself from the dangerous elements. I'll do whatever it takes to make this work. You can't just change who you are. Your family, your business, it's part of you. Asking you to walk away from it is asking you to stop being yourself. Then what do you suggest? We just give up. Walk away from what we have because it's complicated? Yes, because complicated will destroy us. Better to end it now while we can still walk away mostly intact. We arrived at the mansion to find it looking normal, all evidence of the attack cleaned away. Security doubled, everything back to its careful illusion of safety. Luca followed me to my room, watching as I pulled out my suitcase and started packing again. "You're really leaving." "I have to." Tonight proved that. This world, your world, I can't survive it. I'm a teacher, Luca. I'm supposed to grade papers and attend faculty meetings, not get shot at and interrogated by the FBI. You're also the woman I love. That has to count for something. It counts for everything. That's why I'm leaving. Because if I stay, eventually your world will destroy what we have. Better to end it now. Preserve the good parts. Remember this as something beautiful instead of letting it turn ugly. That's the most cowardly thing I've ever heard. You love me, I love you, but you're running because you're scared. Yes. I'm terrified. Tonight I watched a good man get shot protecting me. Spent hours thinking you were dead. Was threatened with federal charges for the crime of being married to you. I'm absolutely terrified, and I'm smart enough to recognize when I'm in over my head. So, that's it? You just leave. Take your money and pretend these 6 months didn't happen? I take my money, go back to California, rebuild my career, and try to forget I ever fell in love with someone impossible. Tears were streaming down my face now. I'm not strong enough for your world, Luca. I wish I was. But I'm not. He was quiet for a long time, watching me pack with an expression that looked like heartbreak. Finally, if you're determined to leave, at least let me give you something. A way to stay connected, stay safe. He pulled out a business card, wrote a number on the back. This is my private line. Not the one everyone has. Just mine. If you ever need anything, help, money, protection, just someone to talk to, call this number. I'll answer, always. Luca, I'm not asking you to stay. I'm asking you to accept that even if we're not together, I still care about your safety. That doesn't expire when you walk out that door. Take the number, please. I took it, tucked it into my wallet. Thank you. For everything. For being kinder than you had to be. For making me feel things I thought I'd never feel again. For 6 months of being more than just an arrangement. It was never just an arrangement. Not for me. I hope someday you'll believe that. I finished packing, called a car service, and left while I still had the courage. Didn't look back at the mansion, at the life I was walking away from. At the man standing in the doorway watching me leave, 3 days later. I was back in California, crashing with Emma while I figured out my next steps. The money Luca had paid me was in my bank account, more than enough to pay off all my student loans. Rent a new apartment. Take my time finding a teaching position. Financial freedom felt hollow compared to what I'd left behind. You did the right thing, Emma assured me for the 100th time. He's a criminal, Zoe. You can't build a life with a criminal. I know. Doesn't make it hurt less. Give it time. You'll move on. Find someone normal and safe and appropriate for you. But I didn't want normal or safe or appropriate. I wanted complicated and dangerous and impossible. I wanted Luca. 2 weeks after leaving Vegas, I got a text from an unknown number. Marco's awake. Made a full recovery. Wanted you to know. I stared at that message for an hour before responding. I'm glad. Thank you for telling me. A week after that, my father asked about you. Told him we're taking time apart. Family thinks it's temporary. Is it? Temporary? That's up to you. Doors always open. We fell into a pattern: occasional texts, updates on his family, on my job search, carefully maintained connection that felt both necessary and painful. He never pushed for more, never demanded I come back. Just stayed present, stayed available, stayed ... there. I got a teaching position at a private school, moved into a nice apartment, started rebuilding my life. On paper, everything was working out. In reality, I felt hollow. Going through motions, functioning but not living. You need to either go back to him or move on completely, Emma said 3 months after I'd left. This half-connected thing is keeping you stuck. Make a choice. I made a choice. I left. Then why are you still wearing your wedding ring? I looked down at my hand. She was right. I'd taken off the engagement ring, but the simple wedding band was still there. I told myself it was just easier than explaining to strangers, but the truth was, I wasn't ready to take it off. Wasn't ready to fully let go. That night, I pulled out the card with Luca's private number. Stared at it for an hour before finally calling. He answered on the first ring. Zoe. Hi. I know it's late. I needed to hear your voice. I needed to hear yours too. How are you? Functioning. You? The same. Missing you. But functioning. We talked for an hour about nothing and everything. When we finally hung up, I felt more settled than I had in months. And I realized Emma was right. I needed to make a choice. Either go back or move forward. This limbo was destroying me. The decision came 4 months after I'd left Vegas. I was grading papers late, one evening when I got a call from an unknown number. Not Luca's private line. Someone else. Is this Zoe Russo? This is Zoe Mitchell. Who's calling? This is Gianna. Luca's sister. I'm calling because... Zoe. Something's happened. Luca's been shot. He's in surgery now, and they don't know if he'll make it. I thought you should know. The world stopped. What hospital? Sunrise Medical in Vegas? But, Zoe, you should know. The FBI is here. They're investigating the shooting, asking questions about family business. Coming here might not be safe for you. I don't care. I'll be on the next flight. I called in sick to work, threw clothes in a bag, and was at the airport within an hour. The 6-hour flight to Vegas was torture, every minute wondering if Luca was alive, if I'd get there in time, if the last conversation we'd had would be our final one. When I arrived at the hospital, the Russo family had taken over an entire waiting room. Carmela saw me first, her face crumbling with relief. Zoe! You came. Thank God you came. He's been asking for you. Even sedated, he's been saying your name. Is he going to be okay? They don't know yet. The bullet hit near his spine. If he survives, he might not walk again. She gripped my hands. But he'll survive better knowing you're here. Go see him. Room 437. They'll let you in, you're still legally his wife. I'd forgotten about that. We'd never filed the divorce papers. On paper, we were still married. Room 437 held a version of Luca I'd never seen vulnerable. Broken. Connected to machines that beeped steadily. His eyes were closed. Face pale, so still he barely looked alive. Hey, I said softly, taking his hand. I hear you've been asking for me. That's not very moving on of you. His eyes fluttered open. Took a moment to focus. When they did, his expression transformed. Zoe, you're here. You're really here. Of course I'm here. Gianna called. Said you got yourself shot like an idiot. Business deal went bad. Should have seen it coming. His voice was weak, words slightly slurred from medication. Thought I was going to die without seeing you again. Without telling you I was sorry. Sorry for what? For letting you leave. For not fighting harder to keep you. For choosing my world over our future. He squeezed my hand weakly. I've been miserable without you. Everyone can see it. My father keeps asking when you're coming back. Says I'm useless like this. You're not useless. You're just ... human. Turns out I'm kind of fond of human you. Fond enough to stay? Or are you just here out of obligation? I'm here because when I thought you might die, I realized I'd rather have complicated and dangerous with you than safe and boring without you. I love you, Luca. I tried not to. Tried to walk away, move on, forget. But I can't. You're it for me. Tears slipped down his face. I love you too. So much. These 4 months without you have been hell. I scaled back operations, distanced myself from the dangerous parts. Trying to become someone you could build a life with. You don't have to change who you are. I just need you to be honest with me. No more secrets, no more keeping me separate from reality. If we do this, we do it for real. Full partnership. Even knowing the risks. The FBI investigation, the rival families, all of it. Especially knowing the risks. I'm done pretending I can live without you. We'll figure out the rest together. He pulled me down for a kiss, gentle because of his injuries but fierce with emotion. Marry me again. A real wedding this time. Not drunk in Vegas but conscious and choosing each other completely. We're already married, remember? Never filed the divorce papers. Then let's renew our vows. Make this official, make it real. Show everyone we're choosing this. Okay, yes, when you can actually stand without machines, we'll have a real wedding. Deal, deal. His recovery took 3 months. The bullet had damaged his spine, but not irreparably. He'd walk again, though with some limitations. I stayed in Vegas the entire time, sleeping in hospital chairs. Then in the mansion once he was released. Helping with physical therapy and navigating his frustration at being temporarily weakened. I hate this, he said one evening during PT. Being dependent, vulnerable. This isn't who I am. It's who you are right now. And I love this version too. The one who needs help, who's not always in control. You're allowed to be human, Luca. You've changed your tune. 4 months ago you were running from my humanity. 4 months ago I was scared. Now I'm just committed. There's a difference. The FBI investigation went nowhere, not enough evidence to charge anyone, and the Russo family's lawyers were too good. Life slowly returned to something resembling normal. Luca transitioned more of his operations to legitimate businesses, though he maintained connections to the family. I can't walk away completely, he explained. But I can minimize risk, focus on legal enterprises. It's the best of both worlds, staying connected to family while keeping you safer. I'm not asking for perfect safety. Just honesty and effort. That's enough. 6 months after the shooting, we held a vow renewal ceremony. Small gathering, just family and close friends in the mansion's garden. I wore a dress I'd chosen myself this time. He wore a suit without blood on it. And when we exchanged vows, they were real. I promise to love you despite the complications. To choose you even when it's difficult. To build a life with you that's messy and imperfect, but ours. My vows made several people cry. I promise to be worthy of your choice. To protect you while respecting your strength. To love you with everything I am. Dangerous parts included. His made me cry. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife again, everyone laughed. We kissed like we meant it because we did. Life after the renewal was different, better, more honest. I took a teaching job at a private school in Vegas, one that asked fewer questions about my husband's business. We had family dinners every week, where I was treated like I'd always been a Russo. Carmela taught me Italian family recipes. Gianna became my best friend. Marco, fully recovered, joked that he'd gotten shot to bring us back together. Worth it, he said. Boss is happier than I've ever seen him. 2 years into our real marriage, I got pregnant. Luca's reaction was pure joy mixed with terror. I'm going to be a father. A real father. What if I'm terrible at it? Then you'll learn. Like everyone else. We'll figure it out together. Our daughter Sophia was born on a spring morning. Watching Luca hold her for the first time, this dangerous man reduced to tears by an 8-pound baby, I knew we'd made the right choice. Complicated, messy, imperfect choice. But ours. She's perfect, he whispered. Like her mother. She's ours. That's what matters. 5 years later, our son Marco, named after the man who'd saved my life, completed our family. We'd settled into domesticity that would have seemed impossible during those first 6 months. Luca had fully transitioned to legitimate business. We had movie nights and family dinners and all the ordinary chaos of raising children. Remember when you woke up in my mansion with no memory and a ring on your finger? Luca asked one evening. We were watching our kids play in the garden, Sophia teaching Marco to kick a soccer ball. How could I forget? Worst hangover of my life, followed by the strangest marriage proposal. Best drunk decision you ever made. Best sober decision I made was staying. Coming back. Choosing you repeatedly. You know what's funny? The contract said 6 months. We're at 7 years. I think you breached the agreement. Sue me. Oh wait, you can't. We're still married. He pulled me close. Kissed me thoroughly. Best loophole I ever found. 10 years after that Vegas chapel, we celebrated our anniversary. The drunk one and the sober one with the whole family. Emma flew in from California, still amazed her responsible best friend had ended up married to a reformed mob boss. You two are disgusting, she said, watching us dance. Still acting like newlyweds after a decade. It's unnatural. It's complicated, I corrected. But it works. That night, alone in our room, Luca pulled out a box. Inside was a new ring simple band with an inscription, "Best mistake I ever made." An upgrade from the drunk Vegas ring, he said. This one you'll actually remember getting. I remember everything about us now. Even the parts I was too drunk to experience the first time. I slipped on the new ring, admiring how it caught the light. Thank you. For making our impossible start into something beautiful. Thank you for waking up in my mansion and not immediately running away screaming. Give me credit. I considered it. But you stayed. That's what matters. We'd started with a blackout, a contract, and a fake marriage. We'd built something real through honesty, choice, and stubborn commitment to making impossible things work. 10 years later, watching our kids play, running legitimate businesses, living complicated but genuine lives, we proved that sometimes the worst beginnings make the best stories. Would you do it again? I asked. If you could go back, knowing everything we go through? Every single part. The drunk chapel. The contract. The FBI interrogation. The shooting. All of it. Because it brought me you. That's worth any amount of chaos. You're very sentimental for a former criminal. You made me soft. I blame you entirely. I accept full responsibility. Our daughter called from the garden, wanting us to come play. We joined our kids. This family we built from the strangest foundation. And I realized that love didn't require perfect circumstances. Just perfect commitment to making imperfect circumstances work. We'd proven that every day for 10 years. And we'd keep proving it for the rest of our lives.